Hello all, this is Dr. Priyadarshini, Course Director at Study Medic for Study EFOG, and in today's YouTube series, we are going to see an station on how to make a PowerPoint presentation and we present it to the examiner. So basically, this comes as two different stations back to back. In the first station, you have the candidate instruction displaced as it is available here. So you will go into the station, a laptop will be kept there, you just have to prepare the presentations. You have 10 good minutes to have your presentation ready. The basics of the presentation is you have to make a only a 3 slide PPT, and the following station, that means after 10 minutes you will be going on to the next station where you will be presenting the same topic to your examiner. And once you finish your presentation, the examiner might have 2 or 3 questions. So kindly allow at least 3 to 4 minutes gap towards the end of the station so that the examiner has adequate time to ask questions. Well, your marks not only depend on your presentation, it also depend on the questions that you answer to the examiner. So today I have with me Dr. Ujwala, who's going to be the examiner, and I am going to be the candidate in doing the station. So starting on with the candidate instructions, I have a minute's time to read the candidate instructions and I have 10 more minutes to make my PowerPoint. So let's see what the candidate instructions say. You are the registrar on duty. You have been asked to prepare and present a concise 3 slide PPT for departmental teaching on migraine in pregnancy. So my task here is to prepare 3 slides only and to ensure my explanation is suitable for a mixed audience like interns, midwives, and junior doctors. So what I understand from this, I have to make a PowerPoint presentation. It has to be 3 slides and I have 10 minutes for that. I also know my target audience, they are all doctors. So I'll have to use a clear medical explanation to go ahead with. So I'm starting my presentation. I assume that I've used 10 minutes to create my presentation. So, hello, I'm Dr. Priyadarshini, one of the candidates for the exam. I have read my station, I have created my presentation on migraine, and I'm here to present the same to you all. In pregnancy is one of the medical complications, though not very commonly seen. It is yet a very, very particular disorder that we have to have some idea about. To have a definition of what is migraine, migraine refers to recurrent throbbing headaches with or without aura. It is usually unilateral, it may be bilateral also. In pregnancy, there are some physiological changes. Migraine often improves in 70% of cases because of the estrogen stability given in pregnancy. The aura type migraines may still persist in pregnancy. The diagnosis of this particular condition is clinical. Whenever the woman has more than or equal to 5 headache which lasts for almost 4 to 72 hours, which is literally 3 days, then we think in terms of migraine. Usually there are some associated very, very peculiar characters like photophobia, phonophobia, nausea or vomiting. So whenever we have a woman with any of these additional features, again we place migraine as the top diagnosis. Aura. Now, aura may or may not be present in migraine. Whenever it is present, the woman can either have a visual, a sensory, or a speech related changes which generally precedes headache. So, we need to warn the woman that when she experiences any of these symptoms, not to worry, and it is just a part of the disease. The most important thing in this migraine is to rule out the secondary causes which may mimic migraine. They are especially preeclampsia, venous thromboembolism, and subarachnoid hemorrhage. Well, these are quite serious and life threatening conditions, and hence, having a proper diagnosis of migraine is quite important in managing these women. Now, coming to the management of migraine, we have non-pharmacological, pharmacological, and certain things that we really need to avoid. What are the non-pharmacological medications we can use here? Giving the woman proper hydration. Hydration plays a key role, especially in pregnancy. Dehydration can cause migraine. Sleep, hygiene, and avoid triggers. Whenever a woman has trigger, especially say like vomiting or heavy perfume smell, she needs to avoid them. Tell her to use small frequent meals and use some cold compressions to get rid of the heat. Pharmacological methods. The first line is generally paracetamol. NSAIDs is generally given only in second trimester. First trimester we avoid it because it has a small risk of miscarriage, and third trimester it can lead to premature closure of the ductus. Triptans, sumatriptan are acceptable if the user is already taking it. But generally, we do not start off with a new dose of sumatriptan in pregnancy. And most importantly, we need to remember whenever we're bringing in any kind of pharmacological management, we need to bring in the neurologist in action, and it has to be a multidisciplinary team that is managing this woman, because not all headaches are migraines, and also to remember all migraines or headaches needs to be evaluated properly so that we don't miss on life threatening conditions here. Apart from this, additional drugs that can be used are antiemetics like metoclopramide and prochlorperazine, and prophylaxis. Prophylaxis are generally low dose propranolol and amitriptyline. We need to remember, without the proper use of, or proper recommendation by a specialist, we are not going to start the woman on this prophylaxis medications. The drugs that need to be avoided in pregnancy for sure are valproate, topiramate, AC inhibitors, and ergotamines. So we need to educate the women to avoid taking over-the-counter medications and to go to the hospital to have a proper care and evaluation. Now, what are the most important thing? Now, whenever we are dealing clinically for a women with migraine, there are certain conditions wherein we need to escalate it immediately to the senior obstetrician, the neurologist, the emergency medicine team, and the anesthesia. Now, why do we need to escalate? Because migraine can come into the emergency department, and here among us we have a lot of midwives and interns also. So whenever you have any woman who's coming with headache, please do remember that she needs a proper escalation to have a complete evaluation. So, what are the red flag signs we must not miss in these women? Whenever the woman has a sudden worsening headache, you have to think about subarachnoid hemorrhage, and she might require an emergency CT or MRI. Whenever the woman in third trimester comes with headache associated with some visual disturbances, remember preeclampsia needs to be ruled out. So unless otherwise we rule out preeclampsia, we are not going to make the diagnosis of migraine here. Whenever the woman has any new neural deficits, especially stroke or thrombosis, again she requires a complete evaluation. Fever and neck stiffness, think of meningitis. Headache worsening on lying, think of intracranial pressure issues. So there are multiple things that we should not miss. In the postpartum period, especially if there is any postural headaches, then you have to think about PDPH, and this needs to be evaluated. So all these red flag signs must be kept in mind whenever we are having a case for discussion, or whenever we are having a patient for evaluation in our clinics. That's the end of my presentation. I would like to know if there are any further questions, and the references are taken from the EBCOG textbook. Thank you.
So, thank you. Regarding your presentation, it's really very nice. You have done started from the definition, then sign. I would like to give the positive feedback on your presentation. It was started with the definition. Then you have mentioned the aura without what is the symptoms of migraine with aura and without aura. Then what are the physiological changes that occur during the pregnancy when the with the patient of migraine. Then you mentioned the sign and symptoms, then evaluated the secondary cause, and in the management, you differentiated the non-pharmacological and the pharmacological causes. So very well done with the red flag sign also mentioned. So one differentiation I would like to ask you, how you will differentiate migraine from eclampsia, preeclampsia.
It's a very, very valid question. We do understand preeclampsia and eclampsia needs to be ruled out in any pregnant woman before we could make any other diagnosis. So whenever the woman comes with a high blood pressure, we need to think in terms of preeclampsia and eclampsia. Along with that, there can be other signs like increased pedal edema, a previous history of preeclampsia, or a family history of hypertension. These are other associated factors. And other risk factors for preeclampsia being a primary gravida, all these needs to be kept in mind. Apart from that, she might have a long-standing chronic hypertension also, which we will get an idea by looking into her clinical notes. And in these women, the fetal well-being will be given a lot of importance. Sometimes the woman might not have a clinical hypertension, but the baby might exhibit symptoms of IUGR. So this has to be ruled out.
You
And
said
testing for
that
the
you will.
urine to look for proteins is another important criteria to rule preeclampsia.
Very good. You said you will going to involve the multidisciplinary team. Can you tell me who all the doctors you will be going to involve in multidisciplinary team?
First of all, I would like to put in my consultant. The consultant obstetrician must be there. Along with that, if I'm dealing with any preterm patients, I would like to have the neonatologist also. But if I'm not thinking in terms of delivery, I'm just thinking in terms of headache, then I would like to have the neurologist also to be in help, to be of help to me. Sometimes the anesthetist and the ICU specialist might also be of help if the woman is in a critical conditions wherein I'll have to place it in an ICU for further management.
Very well. Very well said. Good. So
All right.
very nicely done. Sorry, very nicely done. Your feedback is like you have started your all the slides were well prepared, and we don't need more than 3 slides. So 3 slides is you have started with definition, then in a systematic way you have prepared the definition, the sign and symptom, the causes, red flag sign, and how to manage. So well done. There
Thank you,
is
Dr. Ujwala.
thank you.
Thank you once again. So just to give you all an overall idea about these two stations, first station is preparatory stations wherein you have to make the PPT and remember 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a big time to make 3 slides. So have yourself well prepared whenever you read the topic, have an idea about how you want to go about it, and then you do the slides. Some key points that you can keep while preparing your slides, try to keep it in a very neutral background and do not try to use a lot of colors. You can use highlighters if you want to highlight the slides, and adding in some visual aids like in form of tabular column or flowchart is always very helpful. Using some kind of animation towards the end, again it adds a pop to your presentation. And don't forget to include references and the thank you slides, and invite your examiner for questions. These are the key factors when you're making the PPT. When you're going in for presentations, again you have full 1 minute for your reading instructions and 10 minutes for your presentation. Use it wisely. 5 to 6 minutes you present it, and the next 3 to 4 minutes allow the examiner to ask for questions. When you're presenting, be very clear and confident with what you are talking. Do not give any kind of false information. It's okay to forget some information, but be very careful of what you are talking there. Thank you once again, and wishing you all the best for your exam. Thank you, Dr. Ujwala.
Thank you, Dr. Priyadarshini. Thank you.